My stepdad said my medical treatment was too expensive and that I should handle it myself. So I started a fundraiser and finally got enough money. When they found out, they demanded I pay rent. Instead, I'm 18 male and have a lifelong medical condition. I won't go into too much detail, but it's something that requires constant treatment for the rest of my life. And yeah, it's expensive. Medications, doctor visits, occasional hospital stays, it all adds up. My dad passed away when I was 5 in a car accident. I don't remember much about him, just little flashes here and there. Mostly he's just a face in pictures now. My mom, Grace 40F, never really talked about him much after he died, which I get. It probably hurt too much. After he passed, things got hard. My mom was a stay-at-home mom at the time, so she suddenly had to figure out everything on her own, raising me, finding a job, dealing with all the bills. And then on top of that, she had to handle my medical stuff. I don't remember much about those years, just that there were a lot of nights when she'd sit at the kitchen table with stacks of papers crying. She did her best, though, she really did. But sometimes I wonder if she resents me for it. Not in a way where she outright says it or anything, but I don't know. It's like when she looks at me, I feel this weight, like I was the reason everything was so hard for her. She never said it, but actions speak louder than words, you know? A few years ago, she met my stepdad, Grant 45M. He's fine, I guess. He's not a bad guy, but he's also not super warm. Kind of just a provide for the family and go to work type. He's always been decent to me, but I wouldn't say we're close or anything. He has a son, Justin 20M, who's in college right now. Justin doesn't live with us, but he comes home for holidays and breaks. For a while, things were okay. My mom worked at a store, which wasn't the best paying job, but she managed. We weren't rolling in money, but we made do. My medical stuff was always a priority, and she made sure I got what I needed. But then about 6 months ago, the store she worked at shut down. She lost her job, and suddenly everything changed. At first, she was applying everywhere, but nothing seemed to work out. Then, little by little, the job searching stopped, and now she just stays home. For a while, even after my mom stopped working, she still managed to make sure my prescriptions were filled, my appointments were booked, and things just somehow got paid for. I don't know how she was doing it. Maybe she had savings, maybe she was borrowing, but she never let me see how bad things were getting. Grant works, so we're not completely struggling. But it's weird. I never thought of my mom as someone who'd just stop working like that. And here's where things start feeling off. When she was working, even if money was tight, I never really got the sense that my medical expenses were a problem. But now I could feel it. The way she sighed when she opened the mail, the way Grant looked at me when she told him about another bill. I knew money was tight after my mom lost her job, but I guess I didn't realize just how bad it was until recently. I've been on this treatment my whole life. It's not optional. It's not like I can just skip a few months and be fine. If I don't get it, my health will go downhill fast. It's expensive, sure, but it's literally what keeps me alive. That is why I was shocked when she told me that she couldn't afford my treatment anymore. She told me not to worry, that she was going to talk to Grant about it and that they'd figure something out. I don't know why, but I actually believed her. I guess I thought, well, he's my stepdad, right? He married my mom knowing I was part of the package. He wouldn't just refuse, but he did. She told me later that she had asked him for help and asked if he could cover my medical expenses just until she got back on her feet. She wasn't even asking him to pay for everything forever, just help for a little while. And he said no. He didn't even hesitate. He told her that it wasn't his responsibility, that whatever money he had was his money, and that he was saving it for Justin. Because apparently Justin is the only one worth investing in. Justin is in college, and Grant wants to give him a head start in life after he graduates. So he's been setting money aside for him, making sure he has enough to start his career, maybe even helping him get his own place or a car or whatever. He said that I was 18 years old and that I should be paying for my own medical treatment, that I should get a job and figure it out myself, that it's not his problem and not his responsibility. He said, I'm not worth the investment. He said Justin has a future. He said he is the one who actually has something to look forward to, and I'm not worth the money. I just sat there when my mom told me this. I didn't even know what to say. I don't know if it was more hurt, angry, or just numb at this point. Maybe all three. I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose to have a lifelong condition. I didn't wake up one day and decide, hey, you know what would be fun? Being completely dependent on expensive medical treatment for the rest of my life. And now, because of something I can't control, I'm just not worth it. My mom told me she'd try again with Grant. She said she'd talk to him, try to convince him, or maybe figure out some way to get the money. She didn't say how just that she'd see what she could do. But then she looked at me, and the next thing she said hit me harder than anything. She told me that I was turning 18 soon and that I needed to figure out how to start paying for my own medical treatment. I just sat there staring at her. I didn't even know how to react. My own mother, who had spent years making sure I got my treatment, who always told me she would do anything to take care of me, was now basically telling me, "Hey, you're on your own, I get that. I'm almost an adult. I want to be independent. I've been working my off to make sure I have good grades, to make sure I can go to college, to make sure I have a future. I'm not lazy. I've been doing everything I can to put myself in a position where I won't have to rely on anyone forever." I actually applied to a bunch of colleges. I spent months working on my applications, making sure my essays were perfect, and making sure I had strong recommendations. I even joined clubs and extracurriculars because I knew I had to do more than just have good grades. I knew my condition would make things harder for me. So I've been trying to set myself up for success. I was still waiting to hear back from the schools when all of this happened. But in that moment, sitting there hearing my mom say that I needed to figure out how to pay for my own treatment, I just felt abandoned. I didn't expect her to be able to magically fix everything. I know we don't have money. I know it's hard, but hearing her say it out loud like that, like she was already preparing to wash her hands of it, made it feel so final. I don't even know what she expects me to do. It's not like I can just get a part-time job and suddenly have thousands of dollars for treatment. I know life isn't fair. I know some people have it worse, but it still felt like crap. I didn't have anyone to turn to. Grant made it very clear that I'm not his problem. My mom was exhausted, and even though she said she was going to try, I could already tell she was giving up. I didn't know what else to do, so I started a fundraiser. I wasn't sure if it would even work, but I figured it was worth a shot. I explained my situation as best as I could, trying to be honest without making it sound like I was begging. I posted it online and shared it on social media. At first, I didn't think much would come from it. I mean, who would care about some random 18-year-old kid struggling to afford his medical treatment? But my friends helped spread the word. They shared it on their accounts, got their friends to share it, and before I knew it, people I didn't even know were donating. I checked it constantly, refreshing the page every few minutes. At first, it was just small amounts. $5 here, $10 there, and then bigger donations started coming in. Some were from complete strangers who just wanted to help. Some were from people who had been through something similar and knew how hard it was. Some left little messages of encouragement saying they hoped I'd make it through and get to college. And then somehow, it worked. I ended up raising more money than I ever expected. Enough that I could pay for my treatment and for at least 2 years without stressing over medical bills. I just sat there staring at the numbers on the screen, barely able to believe it. I was ecstatic. The first thing I did was tell my mom. I showed her the fundraiser and showed her how much had been raised, and she was happy for me. She hugged me and told me she was proud of me. I could tell she was relieved too, like she didn't have to stress about me as much anymore. But I guess she must have told Grant about it because not long after he came to my room. Now Grant doesn't really talk to me much unless it's to tell me what I should be doing differently or to remind me that I'm not his problem. So when he knocked on my door and actually asked to come in, I already knew something was up. He sat down and in this weirdly casual voice asked me about the fundraiser. I told him about it, how I had started it online, how people had donated, how my friends helped spread the word. I even told him how surprised I was that so many strangers were willing to help. And then he hit me with that since I had money now. He said I should start paying rent. I actually laughed at first because I thought he was joking. Like, no way was he being serious, but he wasn't laughing. I asked him if he was kidding. He said no. He said it was only fair because I had money now, and it didn't make sense for me to just sit around in his house eating his food and using his electricity while not contributing anything. I was shocked. This was money for my medical bills. The whole reason I started that fundraiser in the first place was because my health was at risk. It wasn't like I had won the lottery or had extra cash to throw around. Every single dollar in that fundraiser was meant to keep me alive. I told him that. I told him this wasn't extra money. I told him this wasn't some kind of fun little savings account. It was literally the only thing keeping me from falling apart. He said it wasn't fair that I had money and was just sitting here living for free while he had to pay the bills. I lost it. I told him to back off, that this wasn't his business, that he had no right to even suggest something like that. I left the room immediately and went straight to my mom. I was furious. I told her what had happened word for word. I told her how Grant was now trying to charge me rent just because I had managed to get some help from kind people online. She sighed and told me she would talk to him. I don't know how that conversation went between my mom and Grant, but whatever she said, it clearly didn't help, because when she finally came to talk to me, she wasn't on my side at all. She actually took Grant's side. She told me that since she isn't working, Grant has been paying for everything in the house, the bills, the groceries, the rent, and everything else. And since it's his money keeping us afloat, it was ultimately his decision whether or not he wanted to support me. I just stared at her completely speechless. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was my mother, the person who had always told me she'd take care of me, that she'd do whatever it took to make sure I was okay. And now she was basically telling me that I was Grant's problem, and if he didn't want to help me, then that was his right. I was heartbroken. I asked her, "So what do you want me to do?" Because I couldn't spend that fundraiser money on anything else. It was literally meant for my medical treatment. If I used it to pay Grant, I'd just be right back where I started, struggling to afford the one thing I needed to survive. She didn't even hesitate. She told me I should find a job, that I should start contributing in some way, that somehow, some way I needed to give Grant money. And then she just left the room. I sat there for a long time just processing everything. I was sad, but more than that, I was angry. I had done nothing wrong. I wasn't some lazy kid sitting around expecting to be taken care of. I had worked hard, I had gotten good grades, I had done everything I could to set myself up for the future. And when I needed help, I had found a way to get it. And now, because I had managed to help myself, I was suddenly expected to give that money away. To start paying rent like I was some random tenant instead of my mom's son. It was like they didn't even care that I had spent years struggling with this condition. Like they didn't care that I had fought so hard just to be okay. I was angry and I had no idea what to do next. I was feeling really alone at that moment. My own mom had basically turned her back on me. She didn't even try to fight for me, didn't even hesitate before telling me to find a way to give Grant money. I just sat there in my room staring at the wall, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. Then I decided to call my grandparents. They've always been good to me. After my dad passed, they helped out as much as they could, even when they didn't have much themselves. They used to visit all the time when I was little, but after my mom married Grant, things changed. I don't know if it was because of Grant himself, or because my mom just wanted to start fresh with her new family, but we stopped seeing them as much. Even so, when I told them what was happening, they didn't even hesitate. They told me that if I wanted, I could come stay with them. No rent, no ridiculous expectations, just a place where I wouldn't have to feel like a burden. I told them I'd think about it, but honestly there was nothing to think about, because just 5 minutes later, Grant came into my room like he knew I was making a backup plan. He leaned against the doorframe all smug and said, "Rent's due in 3 days." Like he was enjoying this, like he couldn't wait to see me struggle. I looked at him and told him that I won't be paying rent because I won't be living here anymore. That wiped the smirk off his face real quick. He said, "And where exactly are you going to go?" I didn't even hesitate. "My grandparents are coming to pick me up tomorrow. I'll be staying with them until I go to college." He just laughed, not like he was actually amused, but like he thought it was pathetic. "Well, good luck with that," he said. "Let's see how long they let a freeloader like you stay with them." I didn't say anything. I just turned back to my stuff and started packing. The next day, my grandparents pulled up in front of the house. I had all my things ready, everything I could fit into my bags. It wasn't much, but it was all mine. Before I walked out, I turned to my mom. She was standing near the kitchen watching, but she didn't say anything. I don't know if she was sad or guilty, or if she even cared. I walked to her, said goodbye, hugged her, and then left. Tonight is my first night at my grandparents' place. They have been so kind to me and I appreciate them so much. But the hurt I am feeling right now, I cannot even put into words. Has any one of you ever faced anything like this? I would love to know how you got through it. Update 1. Hey everyone, it's been a little while since my last post. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, or even just read my story. I didn't expect so many people to care, but reading all your words of support made me feel a lot less alone. A lot has happened since I left my mom's house, and honestly things got way worse before they got better. So after I left, I moved in with my grandparents, and for the first time in years, I actually felt safe. It was a huge relief. But of course, things weren't that simple. After I left, Grant apparently lost it. He wasn't mad that I was gone. He was mad that I had left on my terms. I think he wanted me to struggle. He wanted me to come crawling back, begging for a place to stay. But that didn't happen. So instead, he and my mom started calling my grandparents. At first, it was just my mom saying she missed me and that she just wanted to talk. My grandma wasn't having it and told her that if she really cared, she would have stood up for me in the first place. Then Grant got involved. He actually had the nerve to say that my grandparents were stealing me away like I was some possession that he owned. He said that since I was his responsibility before I turned 18, I should be his problem, not theirs. Except he never wanted me to be his problem. He just wanted to control me. Thankfully, my grandparents shut that down really fast. My grandpa told him that he had no say over me anymore, so I thought that was the end of it. A few weeks later, I got a notification from my fundraiser account. Someone was trying to withdraw money. Now, at first I panicked thinking maybe I had been hacked, but when I looked into it, I realized what had happened. My mom tried to withdraw the money. She still had access to my old bank account, the one we had set up years ago. I had moved my fundraiser money to a new account when I left, but I guess she thought it was still there. I called her to ask her what was going on. Apparently, she and Grant were having money problems. Grant had been expecting me to pay rent, and when I left, suddenly that extra money they thought they were getting was gone. On top of that, Grant had put some of his own money into Justin's future fund, and I guess they were struggling to keep up with bills. So their genius solution was to steal from me. She just said, "Well, we need the money more than you do. You're living with your grandparents for free. You have enough money to pay for your medical treatment and help us." I was so angry I could barely speak. I told her the same thing I told Grant. I need that money for my medical treatment. That's why I raised it in the first place. And you know what she said? Maybe you should have just paid rent like a normal adult and we wouldn't be in this mess. That's when I completely cut her off. I blocked her. My grandparents blocked her. I changed every password I had. After all that, I had a moment where I just sat and wondered if I was making a mistake by cutting her off. But my grandparents told me that family should protect each other, not use each other. And they were right. Last week I found out that I got accepted into one of my top choice colleges. Not only that, but I also got a partial scholarship that will cover some of my tuition. With my fundraiser money, I can afford my medical treatment and at least 2 years of school without worrying too much. But here's the best part. My dad's side of the family, who I hadn't really been in touch with much, heard about everything that happened. My dad's sister, my Aunt Linda, I don't know her age, reached out to me after my fundraiser went viral in our small town. She told me that she and my cousins had no idea what I had been going through. She offered to help me pay for school. At first, I felt guilty accepting it, but she told me that my dad would have wanted this. He left some money behind when he passed. And while my mom got most of it, there was a small amount in an account meant for me. Money my mom never told me about. So now my aunt is helping me access that money. And between that, my fundraiser and my scholarship, I won't have to stress about school or my medical bills. For the first time in a long time, I actually feel like I have a future. Update 2. Hey everyone! It's been a few weeks since my last update, and I honestly wasn't sure if I'd ever post again. I thought things had finally settled down, but life had other plans. Some things happened that I never saw coming, and I figured I owed it to everyone who supported me to share how it all ended. So after I cut my mom off, I thought that was the end of it. But a few weeks ago, my mom showed up at my grandparents' house. She didn't call ahead. She didn't text. She just showed up. I wasn't home at the time. I was out running errands. My grandpa answered the door, and let's just say he wasn't thrilled to see her. She immediately started crying, saying she missed me, that she just wanted to talk, that I was her baby, and she wanted to fix things. My grandpa is a no-nonsense guy. He asked her flat out, "Are you here because you love your son or because you ran out of money?" She didn't answer. That was all he needed to hear. He told her I didn't want to see her and shut the door in her face. When I got home, my grandma told me everything. And for a second, I actually felt bad. She was my mom after all. But then I remembered how she had tried to steal from me, how she had sided with Grant, how she had called me a freeloader, when all I had ever done was try to survive. I didn't call her back. But then she left me a long text saying that they are in a bad condition right now. Grant had been hiding debt, a lot of it. He had taken out loans in his own name to cover Justin's tuition, but he had told my mom that he was paying for everything out of pocket. Meanwhile, my mom had given him most of the money my dad left her. The same money that was supposed to help raise me. It was gone. Grant had been living beyond his means, trying to act like he was some big-shot dad who could fully support his son's college while also taking care of my mom. But in reality, he was drowning in debt. And when my mom gave him my dad's money, he used it to pay off his loans. My mom had no idea. When she found out, she flipped out. I didn't respond to the text, and my mom started blowing up my phone. She called, texted, and even sent me emails. Suddenly, she missed me again. Suddenly, she wanted to start over. I ignored her at first, but eventually I agreed to meet her for coffee. Not because I wanted to make up, but because I needed answers. She started crying as soon as she saw me, saying she was sorry that she didn't know what Grant was doing, that she thought she was doing the right thing. She told me she regretted everything, that she wished she had stood up for me, that she didn't realize how much she had hurt me until I was gone. I just let her talk. Then I asked her one question. If you hadn't found out about Grant's debt, would you have ever tried to contact me? She didn't answer right away. She just looked down at her hands, then whispered, "I don't know." And that was all I needed to hear. I told her I didn't hate her, but I also didn't trust her. She had chosen Grant over me every single time. And now that she had nothing left, she wanted to come back. I told her I needed time. Maybe in the future we could try to rebuild something, but right now I wasn't ready. She cried, said she understood, and we left it at that. I don't know what will happen with our relationship moving forward. Update 3. Hey everyone, it's been a while, and I just wanted to give one last update. Life has changed a lot, mostly for the better, and I finally feel like I can put everything behind me and move forward. I started college, and it's been great. I was worried at first since it's a new chapter in my life, but I actually like my classes, and I've made some solid friends. I also found an online part-time job, which means I'm able to make my own money and support myself without touching the fundraiser money. I'm really careful about how I spend. I keep my expenses low and only use my earnings for daily necessities like food, textbooks, and small personal expenses. The fundraiser money is strictly for my medical bills. I never want to be in a position again where I have to rely on someone who doesn't truly care about me. Financial independence is something I'm working hard for, and I feel like I'm slowly getting there. One thing I'm really grateful for is that my college is super close to my grandparents' house. I visit them as often as I can. They've been nothing but supportive, and I just feel at home with them in a way I never did with my mom and Grant. My mom keeps reaching out, but I haven't responded. At first, she was calling me once every couple of days. Then it turned into texts, long paragraphs about how she misses me, how she regrets everything, how she wants to fix things. Now it's every couple of weeks, but I still don't answer. I don't know if I ever will. Maybe someday, maybe never. Right now I just don't have the energy to reopen that wound. What did surprise me, though, was a call from Justin, my stepbrother. We've never been particularly close. He was away at college when all the drama with Grant and my mom went down, and I figured he either didn't care or just didn't want to get involved. So when I saw his name pop up on my phone, I was shocked. I answered, and he just apologized. He told me he had no idea what had been happening. He knew his dad could be strict, but he didn't realize how badly I was being treated. He said if he had known, he would have spoken up. I told him it wasn't his fault. He wasn't the one who did anything wrong, and I didn't hold anything against him. He said that even though things ended badly between me and his family, he still wishes me the best, and if I ever need anything, help, advice, or even just someone to talk to, I can reach out to him. That was unexpected. I don't know if we'll ever be close, but it meant a lot to hear that from him. At least one person from that side of my life turned out to be decent. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Thank you everyone for listening to my story and for all the support. I'll always be grateful.